All right, I'm having a few technical difficulties here, but if you guys could grab out student handout 5, hopefully they'll be able to get them resolved, but we can get started on these notes for right now. So student handout 5, we're going to be learning about triangle conditions. So there are different ways to determine whether or not there's going to be a unique triangle, more than one triangle, or no triangles. And so what we're going to be doing in this last section of the unit is deciding if we are given certain information about a triangle, can we even create a triangle? Is it a unique triangle, or can we create more than one triangle, or can we not even create a triangle at all? So one of the conditions could have to do with the sides. So if you are given 3 sides of a triangle, when 3 sides are given, if the side lengths meet the triangle inequality theorem that we learned about a couple lessons ago, then they will form a unique triangle. So that triangle inequality theorem tells us if we add up 2 of the sides, it's got to be greater than that third remaining side. So if we take a look at these examples up here, we want to see, okay, which of these gives me 3 sides? One of the conditions could be 3 sides. Well, here I have an angle, side, and an angle. Nope. Angle, angle, angle. Side, side, side. So in this example, triangle GHI, we are given the 3 sides, and if those 3 sides meet that triangle inequality theorem, then they would create what we call a unique triangle. A unique triangle would just be one specific triangle. Now, you could be given a situation where you have 2 sides and an angle. So this is 2 sides and an angle. When 2 sides and an included angle are given, they will absolutely form a unique triangle. A unique means that it'll form one triangle. So 2 sides and an angle. So if I go up here, I have an angle, a side, and an angle. Nope, I'm looking for 2 sides, not 2 angles. 3 angles. I'm looking for 2 sides. 3 sides. 2 sides right here. So here we have 2 sides and then this included angle right here. And so if you are given 2 sides and an included angle, it will create a unique triangle. Now on the other hand, instead of having 2 sides, you could have 2 angles. So you could be given 2 angles. And if you are given 2 angles and then one of the sides, when 2 angles and one side are given, you've got to double check to make sure if the angles have a sum of less than 180 degrees, then they will absolutely form a unique triangle. So you need to double check that if you are given 2 angles, they have to be less than 180 degrees. And the reason for that is because a triangle has 3 angles. So close your eyes and picture a triangle. A triangle has 3 angles inside of it. And those 3 angles together have to add up to 180 degrees. So if you were only given 2 out of those 3 angles, 2 out of the 3 angles has to be less than 180 degrees because 3 angles would create 180 degrees. So if we go up here, this triangle ABC, we're given 2 angles and a side. So we would have to make sure that these 2 angles are less than 180 degrees in order for that to form a unique triangle. And last but not least, you could just be given 3 angles. And when you have 3 angles, the angles have to meet the angle sum theorem. And the angle sum theorem tells us that 3 angles of a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. And if those 3 angles add up to 180 degrees, then they will form more than one triangle. So there's a possibility to draw different types of triangles. So now we're going to jump to our second page. It might be helpful for you to keep that first page out just so you can reference this bottom chart here. We got my projector working again, thank goodness, so I can show you the work that I'm doing along with this, not just what you should write. And we have to use your understanding of the triangle inequality theorem to complete this table. So you can see we are only dealing with side lengths here. So we're only dealing with this scenario here where we have 3 sides. And when 3 sides are given, if the side lengths meet the triangle inequality theorem, then they will form a unique triangle. And that triangle inequality theorem tells us that we have to add up to the sides. So I'm going to have to add 7 plus 8 over here. And 7 plus 8 is 15. And I want to know if I added 7 and 8, is that 15 bigger than the remaining side of 9? And it is. So I've already added 7 and 8 together. Now let's go ahead and add 8 and 9 together. So I'm going to go ahead and add 8 plus 9. 8 plus 9 gives me 17. So I have to figure out, is that larger than my remaining side, that's 7? It is, so that does create a triangle. So I've added the first and the second and the third. Now let's go ahead and add the first and the third. 7 plus 9 gives me 16. And we have to figure out, is 16 greater than 8? It is, so in this middle column here, since we've tried this 3 times, we've tested it all 3 ways, it holds true for all 3 of them. When it says how many triangles are formed, we would say 1 unique triangle. 1 unique triangle. And we'll do that together one more time. So I'm going to start by adding my first and my second. So I'm going to add 1.5 plus 3, and I get 4.5. And then we want to know, is that 4.5 greater than my remaining side? That's 1.5. And it is. That's a true statement. So now this time I'm going to add my second and my third. I'm going to add 3 plus 1.5. That sounds familiar. I'm going to get 4.5. And I want to know, is 4.5 greater than my remaining side of 1.5? And it is. So now we have to add our first and our third. 1.5 plus 1.5 gives me 3. Is 3 greater than 3? Shake your head yes or no. Is 3 greater than 3? It's not. They're equal to each other. So since the triangle inequality theorem didn't hold true for all 3 scenarios, there is going to be no triangle. No triangle. So I want you to go and pause the video here, try 3 and 4 on your own, and then press play to see my answer. So there are my responses for 3 and 4. And if you need to, you can always pause the video and talk out your responses if you get something slightly different. And in this next section here, we have to use our understanding of the angle sum theorem. What the angle sum theorem tells us is that a triangle's 3 angles should equal 180 degrees. So you can see in each of these 4 examples, we are given 3 different angle measures. And we want to know, do they add up to 180 degrees? That's essentially the question. So I'm going to start off by adding 70 plus 90 plus 20. 70 plus 90 is 160, plus 20 is 180. So since these 3 angles add up to 180 degrees, they will create more than 1 triangle. So we're going to do the same thing for number 6. We're going to add 55 plus 45 plus 75. I don't mind if you use a calculator to help you out to ensure you don't make any mental math mistakes. And when I add those 3 degrees together, I get 175 degrees. A triangle has to have 180 degrees. It absolutely has to. So since those 3 angles only add up to 175 degrees, this will not create a triangle. So I'm going to write no triangle. A triangle has to have 180 degrees. So go ahead and pause the video, do 7 and 8, and then press play to hear me go over the response. So here are my responses. 4, 7, and 8. You can always pause the video. All right, and last but not least, questions 9 and 10, we're going to apply your understanding of triangle constraints to answer the following questions. So question 9 tells us that two sides of a triangle have lengths of 7 and 15. And we have to determine which inequality represents the possible lengths for the third side x. So as soon as I see the 7 and the 15, I'm thinking of my side length, my triangle inequality theorem, where I have to add up the two sides. So if I add 7 plus 15, I get 22. I know that my remaining side has to be less than 22, because if you look up here, we always wanted to double check to make sure that that remaining side was less than it. So I want to make sure that 7 plus 15, which is 22, I got to make sure that that remaining side is less than 22. Well, if you look at our inequalities right here, this one has x less than 22. This one's got a less than 15, 15, and 7. So if we use some test taking strategies, we know it's got to be less than 22. It can be 21, and that would still be fine. And so we can select answer A. And then last but not least, number 10 says which three angle measures cannot be the angle measures of a triangle. So I want to go through the angle measures of a triangle must be 180 degrees. I'm going to add 110 plus 43 plus 27. And I got 180. So that could be a triangle. We want to know which one cannot be a triangle. So 89 plus 47 plus 32. Whoops, I typed that in wrong. Is 168 degrees. That isn't okay. Those cannot form a triangle because they don't add up to 180 degrees.